Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenn Vande Zande, back with another episode here of CX Unplugged. And today I am really thrilled to have Katherine Calvert here from Khoros. Welcome back, Katherine.
It's so fun to see you again. Thank you for having us. I am thrilled to be back.
It is really great. So for those who weren't watching last year when we started these series, I interviewed Katherine last year in August, and I rewatched that interview last night, and what I found really interesting was you were kind of talking about predictions for this year. And one of those predictions was about how brands are really going to need to be not just talking about being authentic, but actually becoming authentic. And it was fascinating how spot on you were about that. And so today, and we were talking about social channels and how brands kind of get that engagement and how you do that moving forward. It's a really different way than what we were used to. It's not your father's B2B. And I just had to kind of pop in there that how much it seems like we've changed as people since these lockdowns and things have gone on, because the bones or no bones TikTok, that's kind of how I'm like, there was no
Noodle, the pug.
Yes. I was like, there's no update. So I guess yesterday was a bones day and we're still getting out of bed to work. So kind of laughing about that. But I'm just wondering, especially with the insights that you have with what your company does, where do companies start now? Like, how do we really start taking action? How do you tell if a brand is really doing those things or not? I would just love all of your insights on the humanity part of business.
Thank you, Jen. I think one of the fascinating things, and it's amazing that it's been a year, because in some ways it has been like a dog year and also moved so quickly. It's incredible that we're in October, right? And I think one of the most amazing phenomenons of this whole experience we've been through collectively is that we as colleagues have had to become more authentic, right? You're on a Zoom call and your Wi-Fi goes out, or your child runs through the screen, or add in the challenge. So we've all become, even just on our own teams and in our own companies, more true and real. And I think that has driven this acceleration of that expectation for the brands we do business with. I think it's really hard, especially for an established brand. Khoros is going to be 20 years old this year. SAP is just an incredible monolithic leader in the industry. You sort of have this sense of who you are. But I think it is always a useful exercise for brands and for folks thinking about the voice of the brand, to think about this like any relationship. And it starts with knowing who you are in a relationship. Do you really understand how you want to show up for your friends, for your customers, for your colleagues, for your employees? If your brand walked into a bar, what would they order? What would they wear? Would they walk into a bar? What is that personality, and what do they represent? More than just the values, what's the voice? What's the personality? That sort of making that persona real, and it might, what was true maybe 5 years ago, you hope has evolved. So it's a really useful exercise to keep going back to that core sense of self, just like you would in any relationship. It's got to start with a clear sense of your own identity.
That's a really good. There's so many points there I want to kind of hop in on, but so, and kind of delving into when you're talking about the brand identity and how much we've actually changed at work, right? It's much more reality is happening, I think, at work. So I'm also wondering, when we're talking about customer engagement and gauging those things on social, do you see that playing into actually internal engagement with, do you see employees as kind of customers of the business? I mean, if they're the folks running your channels and doing your engagement, have you seen that changing for your company? And Have you
I
taken?
do, and sometimes, and for our customers as well. I think there are a couple things that come to mind there. It's from a customer perspective. It's, I mean, I'm sure we talked about this in our last conversation. It's just so hard to differentiate, right? Whether you're a B2B technology company or a consumer retailer, it's really hard to differentiate. And the most powerful way, the way with the highest profit margin is to differentiate on experience. And what's an experience? It's what that relationship is with the brand, right? That's why this stuff matters. Whether you're on TikTok or LinkedIn, it doesn't, there's a million channels and there's going to be a new TikTok in a few years or maybe sooner. It doesn't matter. There's no perfect answer to what channel you should be on. The right answer is, who's your customer? Who are you hoping to connect with? And that's true for your employees too. I don't know. It's an insane job market out there, right? Just the way it is difficult to keep and retain customers. So how do you differentiate? You make sure that it's a place people want to be. People want to work at a place that gives them a sense of connection, of purpose. And I think we've thought about that as a business, especially now that we can. I think we've all changed our minds about what it means to be a team, what it means to work together, and I'm air quoting. And so you have to think of new ways to create connection when you're not gathering in the parking lot or walking, or meeting in the kitchen at lunchtime. And I think that's where thinking about relationships and using technology, just like we are right now, to facilitate those connections gets really powerful. I mean, I was such an old school. We all need to be in the office and show up every day. And I was wrong. People can be incredibly productive. But if all you ever do is talk to each other on Zoom for 25-minute meetings, you're going to lose some of the magic that you get when you do have those moments at the coffee pot. So what are the other ways you can have connections with your employees? Whether you're supporting their own social feed or taking a few minutes in the beginning of a conversation to just check in on people.
Well, speaking of authenticity, that got me a little teary when you said that, because there is nothing that I miss more than seeing my coworkers. And, I'm an introvert. Like, I really am. People find that hard to believe.
I'm dubious, but okay.
But it is kind of draining. And I will often text with people and say, like, I want to see people. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I loved what you said about, so many different channels. And I know at work, it feels like for employees, there's so many different channels. I have some of our channels set to, I am not on this channel. Do not contact me on this channel.
That is a good productivity hack. Anybody who's listening, that is a great tip.
But so how do you think brands, we're talking about technology and software and how these things can help bring people together, because it really can. I can't imagine remaining tied to humanity without the technology that we're using right now, right? At least you get to see a face. But how does the connection with the customer continue actually with technology? How do brands need to harness that? And do you have any best practices there?
I think it's intimidating. There's no question. And we get at Khoros, we work with usually we work with a marketing team for maybe their social engagement, and then we often also work with the contact center side and the care side for how they support and engage with customers. So issue resolution or break fix, and then brand love. And one of the most powerful opportunities that we see with our customers is how to bring those conversations together, right? And I think it comes back to this idea of, however big you are, what are the ways you can use technology to bring it back down to the individual? How can you make your brand feel like the person feel like your customers connecting with you, right? Using that in like a royal we. I think we just was looking at some data. This is really hard. The bigger the company, the heavier the tech stack, the legacy technology can make it complicated. On the flip side, there are so many incredible options out there to just sort of lay a blanket over there, or like a single pane of glass is what vendors in my space all say we do it, but that give you a way to connect those dots so that it's not a big, heavy extra investment you have to rip and replace. It's really just about being able to say, hey, I see you. I see you weren't happy. You made this purchase. You came back and then you bought something else. You loved this lipstick. Maybe you're going to love this other one. And I'm really sorry about that experience you had with that face cream. Like, just to be seen makes a huge difference. And the opportunity for businesses, there may be some investment in technology, but if you can, we all know, if you can keep a customer and grow that relationship, that is so much more efficient than having to go out and compete all over again to win new customers in your doors. So I think one little hack, I think, is to really, again, it starts with any good relationship, really understand who your best matches are, who is the right customer, and where are they? And then of those 50 channels, there's probably only a handful that really make sense for your business. Even if it means you're not on the coolest one or the flavor of the day, where are your customers? And be comfortable that you're talking to the people that matter to your business.
That's a really wonderful way to think of things, because I think especially with, having teens and seeing all of the different social channels, and I'm like, oh, should we be doing this? Should we be doing that? That's a great point, is, you really do have to kind of hone in on where your audience is, understand your audience. But you said something about call centers, talking to social and to digital. And I think over the past year and a half, right, we've really seen how truly important it is to integrate every element of the customer journey into a place where you're taking actions and kind of speaking immediately. I think we've all been on with customer service and had to have something escalated. And I mean, I know I've said, do you have a computer where you store information? Because I have to say the same thing to 5 different people.
I know.
It's
I
like a
know.
psychological experiment. But have you seen progress then and outcomes? I would imagine you have, but from actually tying those together, and how real time does it get doing those things?
I mean, and I have so much empathy for the contact center. That job is, I mean, all you have to do is search a few Reddit channels, and it is a daily bombardment. And then the folks that run those teams, they're constantly dealing with attrition and every minute that matters. But where we have seen some incredible successes is when those contact centers have been able to expand that notion of what it means to connect with a customer, and surface those insights in a way that doesn't distract and make the agent's job harder, right? But if I can just say, oh, Jen, yep, here's your information in the moment, and then make it easy for you to reach me, right?
Mhm.
And then I would say the more we talk to contact centers, the more I understand they're not trying to get you off the phone. They're trying to get you the answer you need in the most efficient way possible. And if you start to think about the question that way, then you realize not everything needs to go to an agent, right? And I just had this experience. I finally went to a hotel. I took my family on a staycation about 50 miles away, and we hadn't been in a hotel in so long. I couldn't find my loyalty point. And the poor person at the desk didn't know. So then I had to call the 1-800 number. And as I looked up the 1-800 number, a chat bot showed up on the website. And the call time, and here I'm like the contact center nightmare, because I've got a couple different channels going. 15-minute hold time, the chat bot answered me in less than 2 minutes, had sent me my loyalty number, and I was happy as a clam, done, didn't need to talk to anybody. So it doesn't always mean that you are connecting with an agent. There's other ways to use technology to make sure that that you have the avenues to get the answers you need. And then those conversations get to focus on the things that are meatier and need unpacking.
Yes. All of that. That is, yeah, that's, yes. I think the first time we've all ventured out has been, how do we do this? How do we, I don't remember.
Right. Exactly. What's
And
my password? I don't know. How do I pack? That was a disaster.
Yes, all of those
Right.
things that are really, and you think about those people on the front lines of that.
Oh,
I had an interaction where, when you were talking about how the agent, it's nice for them to be able to kind of get a handle on the customer. When I called recently about an issue, we ended up talking about our favorite books and, exchanging. I ended up buying a book that she suggested. I was like, I know your job is so hard.
so
And I
hard.
know this isn't your fault, but I know you have to tell me a certain thing, in your
Right.
answers, and I understand. So I think this really kind of circles back around to just remembering the humanity and the authenticity, and that no matter what technology we have, it's people running it, right?
That's right. Yeah. And actually, that one last thing on that point, you had asked about employee engagement. Like, nowhere is that more essential for a business than in that contact center. And it's not just help, right? Contact centers can be a great source of revenue and sales. But if your agent is happy and proud and feels excited to help and proud of the product, they are going to be your best ambassadors. So our job as technologists is to help make that easier for them.
Right. Believe it or not, we're out of time already. So,
When do we do chapter 3?
I know. Well, I'm hoping you'll maybe write up a post or something that we can share. But
Sure. Yes.
thank you, as always, for joining us. I love having these conversations with you. So, and thank you to everyone who was watching. We really loved having you here and hope to see you again soon. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful
Thank
day.
you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.